Welcome to the Psychic Traineeship. I'm your host, Gabrielle, better known as Gabs, and I'm a psychic medium, trance channeler, and a psychic development teacher. And I help women all around the world reconnect to their divine, intuitive feminine and become certified psychics, Akashic record readers, and healers, all through my program called the Psychic Traineeship. So if you're ready to activate your inner psychic, you're in the right place. On this podcast, we're going to be talking about all things intuitive, psychics, mediums. We're going to be talking to special guests. We're going to be talking about astrology, numerology, human design, talking about what it's like to truly live a psychic life and how easy it gets to be, and how good it is when you're connected to your spirit team and how easy life flows. So if you're ready to quantum leap into your most intuitive selves, let's go. What are we waiting for? Let's dive into this week's episode. All right, guys, welcome back to the Psychic Traineeship. I am so grateful you're here. I'm so glad to be in your earbuds wherever you are from all over the world. And I'm really excited for today's episode. I am speaking to a beautiful soul sister, someone who has been a teacher for me through their own lessons and their own stories and their own sharings, and someone who's just really taught me so much about light language and how amazingly we can shift our life and how quickly we can transform, and ultimately how we can bring new beliefs into this reality in such a quick time frame and be able to ultimately just quantum leap as quickly as we desire to. So today I'm talking to Kyli, and Kyli last year was in the Psychic Traineeship. She was here to activate her psychic abilities and ultimately allow herself to expand in a way that I just never thought I would witness through a human being. And I'm so blessed for her to be here to share her experience with you. So welcome, Kyli.
Thanks, Gabs. I'm so happy to be here today.
I'm so grateful you're here. So I think we should probably start by, can you introduce yourself to everyone on the podcast and share a little bit about your unique codes, the psychic gifts you now have, and ultimately your evolution?
Yeah, sure. My name's Kyli MCCORRY. I am based in Australia, in Sydney, Australia. I'm a mum of a 2-year-old, and I'm married. And I guess my evolution or my spiritual awakening happened about 2 years ago now. And it really happened just after the birth of my daughter. Everything sort of really catapulted my awakening, and some odd phenomena started happening to me. I think that's the best way to describe it. So I have a science background. I come from the corporate world. I'm a scientist by trade, and I like to know why things are happening, and I like to know the why and the facts behind things. So when something was happening to me that I couldn't explain, for context, I started to feel something touching me at night. And this started happening for months. And I couldn't see it, but I could feel it. I thought I was going crazy. But then I would tell my husband about it, and he could sense something else in the room as well. So I knew it wasn't just me, and that he said, just ignore it, but I couldn't. It just kept getting, basically, I became so scared and so in fear of not knowing what was happening to me. So I ventured in this journey trying to explain what was happening to me. And as the universe has it, and synchronicities, I discovered you through one of your breathwork workshops that you were facilitating back then. And the even more odd thing is that I wasn't even meant to go to your breathwork. I had booked in that same day to go to a different one, and they, the last minute, said, "Oh, we've overbooked. We have to refund you. We're canceling your reservation." So me and my friend were scrambling the last minute, and we came across your event, and we booked at the last minute and got there, and we knew that we were in the right place. So it's amazing how things just realign to get you where you're meant to be. And yeah, that breathwork workshop was one of the most profound experiences of my life, because in that I set the intention at the start to really understand like what it is my purpose. And what came to me is that I'm a healer. I didn't know what that meant, how I'm supposed to heal. All that I knew was that I'm meant to make a difference in people's lives. It was very clear to me. And so at the time, I didn't know, I wasn't ready yet to, I guess, explore what your offerings were. I didn't even know that you did that. And coincidentally, a few months later, I ran into you in person, and then you gave me your business card. And I went on your website. I looked at all of the offerings that you had. The most expensive one, the one that went for the longest, I was like, I don't even know what that is, but that is my gut instinct just said, I need to do that. I'm doing that. And so we had a call, and I said, I just need to do that program. And you're like, okay. And that was it. And I knew I needed to be in your program, what you now call the psychic traineeship. Is that right? And I would just understand what was happening to me. So yeah, that started my journey, I think. And I felt that was one of the first times I trusted my gut, my intuition for a very long time. I just took that leap.
And that was such a profound breath work. Like I remember you were laying there and your arms were like above your head and you were like sending out energy. Because I remember at one point, because I was going around the room and I was like walking around and I was like, "Oop, I'm in her light." And then I walked to the other side and I was like, it's dark. And it was just such a beautiful experience to see that and to hear this is just so beautiful for me. And I think it's so interesting how breath work got you here.
Exactly. Yeah. There's so many, I guess, different modalities that can connect you to your inner self, your higher self. And I'd never done it before. It was just so profound. And it was exactly what I needed in that moment to really connect me to my higher self and my intuition, and to send me that message that I needed. And how you were saying I was sending energy, I was. And now looking back, I was so who I am in this, like I was so in my purpose in that breathwork room, sending energy to everyone else because I could feel the suffering of people in that room. And I just wanted to send them love. And that was the energy I was sending them.
And that's the definition of a light worker, to transmute negativity into positivity, whether it be like complete joy or bliss, or whether it be like just 2% better than it was, right? It doesn't matter the caliber, it matters the exchange from negativity to light, right? And from that moment, I wouldn't have been shocked if you were like baptized as a light worker almost in that breath work. It's like that's how I see it looking back on it, knowing that we're talking about this experience that happened well over like 12 months ago. Like it was so profound. And I don't think we even saw that in the moment.
No, not at all.
So when you were kind of in that space, right? You were in the space of like, I feel like there's a deeper purpose to life, right? What kind of energy were you coming from, especially with the energy in your room that your husband was also picking up on? What do you feel was the undertone of that?
Looking back now, I feel like it was my guides trying to wake me up. And at the time, I consulted lots of different people, Reiki healers, psychics. I had people reading cards. My husband's friends in Mexico who read cards, and they were all saying, you have an entity or you have something attached to you. And I went to a Reiki healer and they cleared it from me, and then it still kept happening. So I was like, that was what was breeding the fear, isn't this unknown? And then when I really started getting clear on my power, that I have the energy to transmute negative, I guess what you were just saying about negative energy, that was me. One of the things, I was really ungrounded. I was lacking sleep from being a new mum. I was really, yeah, ungrounded. And when I really started to ground myself and feel into my power and the energy that I have and that I can cultivate from within, that's when I knew that it didn't really matter whether there was any energy else that was outside of me in the room, because I was powerful enough to be with that, if that makes sense. And then I have been looking back, I didn't even really need to know what it was. I think that's what I'm at peace now with. Like, it doesn't really matter what it was. If it was an entity, it was maybe because I was at such a low level vibration and so ungrounded that maybe I was creating that energy. This is what I've learned, is you can create your own energy as well. And maybe I was just like feeding into that by being in such a low vibration state. And now being responsible for my vibration and the energy that I put out into the world, I can be mindful of like what's going on around me. If that makes sense. I think I've just confused myself, but
It makes sense. You learnt your power, you learnt your strength ultimately, and you realize that it actually doesn't matter what comes near you. It doesn't matter who is near you, because you've ultimately remembered that you were the creator of the story, you were the master of the shield, and you are ultimately the wheeler of your own destiny.
yeah. And since then, I've had many instances where I've felt energies, maybe being like even traveling or being in different rooms and being around different people. I feel an energy, or, something that doesn't feel like my energy. And tapping into my psychic abilities and being able to feel energy, I am aware of those things now, and they don't scare me, because I'm like, oh, everything is energy. We are energy and everything is energy. The wind is energy. Our Wi-Fi is energy. There's so many different forms of energy we just don't think about. So if there is like an energy that's created from whatever, that we might think, oh, this room feels, you walk into a room and it doesn't feel right. There could be an energy in there. And how you choose to respond to the energy, I think, or how I choose to respond to the energy, is the biggest lesson that I've had. It's like, I can just ignore it, or I can do some energy work and clear the room, which is what I usually do. Because I want to be in a space where the energy is at the highest vibration. So it's only of love and in my highest good. And honestly, like, for some people, this might seem far-fetched and far out there, but it works for me, and I have such peace of mind now. And whatever makes you sleep at night, right? I find that's just, it works for me.
And I think so often this will resonate for so many people, because so often when people accept their light workers' responsibility, right? When they realize that they are here to be of service, to be a healer or a teacher or a leader of some way, negativity shows up in a way to push you on your journey. Like, every illness isn't meant to destroy you. Every illness is trying to help you rebuild your nervous system and your immune system, and it's trying to help you be stronger and better. But so often we forget that the challenges are ultimately the story. So with that, I feel like you've been on a really profound transformation. So what do you feel like's really shifted within, like spiritually, emotionally, or physically, that really helped you awaken your psychic gifts?
I think initially I was really confronted and triggered by the word psychic. And I was projecting onto the word psychic. So this is shadow work for people that in the shadow work world. I was projecting my past view of what psychic was, like the little old lady with the crystal ball. I was projecting that onto the word psychic, and I didn't want to be associated with it. And I think when I really got clear and what you go into in your traineeship in a lot of detail. And we did a lot of work on that, looking at what is a psychic and what are the gifts of a psychic. I started to break down that projection. I think that's the best way to put it, and be at peace with it. Everyone can be psychic. Everyone has the ability. It's just whether you're willing to turn on your gifts or not. It's a willingness. And some people might have them so heightened that they feel like they aren't. Like, I'm not speaking to those people, but it really is a choice to tap in or not, and do the inner work as well and connect. So when that was a huge transformation, is being able to say, oh, I'm psychic. I have psychic gifts and abilities, and own it and be proud of it, and not feel like a freak, which was what I originally went to. And I was so afraid of embracing them because I didn't want to be a freak. That's huge. And then also within your container, just the internal work that I did and the shadow work, transforming my relationships and how I relate, like, to my daughter and my husband and my friends, being able to see where I'm projecting and catch myself and choose a different response. And a lot of people go through life and they never catch themselves. They don't even realize how their reaction is a projection. They're so in the world of I'm right, that I feel this way. I've got to be right. And they don't catch them. And it doesn't mean that I don't have projections. I'm a human being, but being able to live in a lot more internal peace and then a lot less conflict with the people around me, because I can just let things go. And I can go, oh yeah, I wasn't right. You were right there. I just wanted to be right. It's going to change the way I am a mom and break intergenerational trauma.
Hey beautiful souls, I just wanted to remind you that I have a free community where each month I run a free activation or masterclass. So if you love these podcasts, make sure that you're actually coming to these free live sessions hosted on Zoom, because anyone from all over the world can attend or catch the replay. So the next one is happening on October 16th, and I'm holding a free third eye activation. And it's completely free, and it's all about awakening your psychic gifts and tuning in to your highest self. This transformation session will dive deep into the power of your third eye as the gateway to your intuition. It's going to give you clarity and inner knowing. Over time, life can cloud our third eye with doubts, fears, and blockages, preventing us from truly accessing our psychic potential. This activation is designed to clear those blockages and empower you to connect to your intuitive wisdom like never before. Activating your third eye completely changed how I see the world. It opened me up to new levels of awareness and psychic abilities I didn't even know I had. I'm passionate about guiding others through this activation because I believe we all have the potential to awaken our gifts and step into our power. If you are wanting any of the following, you should join this activation. Intuitive clarity, you want to awaken your psychic gifts. You want to energetically align your third eye. You want heightened awareness in your intuition. And ultimately, you want to feel empowered about intuition. This is more than just an activation. This is an opportunity to step into your potential as a psychic being. Whether you're just beginning to explore your intuition or you're already deep into your spiritual practice, this activation is for you. Don't miss this powerful opportunity. Mark your calendars for October 16th. Let's awaken your psychic gifts together. This session will be held at 5:30 p.m. on Bangkok time. So I know times can be confusing, so if you head to my website, www.gabriellebentley.com, and you hit the community button, you can sign up to be part of this community each month. And in there, you're going to find a beautiful add event link. This is going to time convert all of these free events into your calendar so you know what's coming up and what you can catch the replay of. So simply jump to my website now, and I really hope I get to see you for this live activation. I feel like there's so much to unpack here, but I first want to like just go back and rewind and really just touch on the psychic wound. I think so many people realize there is a witch wound, right?
Yep.
But there is a psychic wound. There is that too much, that fear that almost comes with that waking up process of, holy shit, that whole time I might have thought that there was this negative entity, and now I believe it's my guides. And we have this huge projection, right? Which is where we take an internal pain and we try and say it's something external, right? So it's just weird to be psychic, not I am weird, because like I'm curious about that, right? We take it and we go, that's external to us, that's not who I am. And when you were going through that, especially with the psychic wound, what would be any advice you have for anyone else who's struggling, who might be in that flip-floppy nature of like, I'm psychic, I'm not, I'm psychic, I'm not, and that kind of like battle between our intuition and our ego?
I think if you're ever in confusion or you're very in avoidance of something, it's your ego. That's that's surely your ego. And so when you know that you're in your ego, then at least you can step back from it. What helped me is just going inwards. So meditation within your program, you have lots of different, I guess, homework activities and things that you sent us off to do and practice, just basically practicing honing in on our skills. So taking the time to actually go and do that, go and be with yourself. Before I did your program, I never gave myself time to be with myself. It was always from one thing to another. I was so busy, or I would numb myself with TV or something, social media and scrolling. I would never allow myself the time to be with myself. And I think when you can quieten the mind and you start to get the messages coming through, and they're positive, because the ego is usually a negative, like some sort of like rant going on that takes you away, contradicts something. But the mind is usually your higher self, your guides, usually like encouraging. It's usually something that you think like it's an optimistic thing, like, oh, go do this, or this could be possible. Like it's about possibility. So when you're in the mind of possibility and really connect, then you start to see, okay, this is coming from I'm not alone. I'm not alone, because I have so much love around me. And this is all because I chose to turn on my psychic gifts, and whatever that might be. So that could just be your intuition. Being intuitive is a psychic gift, really, if you look at it like that too. If someone's freaked out by, oh, I don't want to be like psychic and read someone or whatever, just like listening to your intuition is being psychic, really. It's tuning into your higher self.
Amen.
Yeah. I hope I
love
your
that
question.
explanation. And I guess the question I've got off the bat is, you kind of joined my program. You had no idea what you're really in for, right? Because you were like, before I decided to put the shadow work in, and before I decided to make the manifestation course, and I decided to really hone in on everything I learned over the last 5 years, I started to make a list of, right? Just kind of probably when you were starting to sign up, and I was writing this list and I was making the course bigger and bigger and bigger. And I was like, it's missing so much, because I do believe psychic development is the quickest way to heal. Like, I truly believe that if you accept your messages, you accept divine love. And if you accept divine love, you're eventually going to divinely love yourself, because that frequency is in you. So anytime you accept a transmission of any kind, we're healing. So I guess my question ultimately is did you expect to come into this course and ultimately have this experience?
No, I expected, I just, back then it was called Activate Your Inner Healer, I think. And I thought, I want to be a healer. I didn't even notice the word inner. And that's funny for me because I'm a very like attention to detail person. And I thought, I'm just here to be a healer, not anything to do with psychic. So I was very surprised. And honestly, my whole perspective of life has shifted. Like the psychic realm, spirituality, this whole field, it's like, okay, I work in science, like, I went to university for science. That's a whole field on its own, right? The psychic realm is a whole, once you start going down the rabbit hole, it's this whole, there's just so many books, there's so many courses, there's so much out there to learn about this whole other world that I didn't even know was there. It's just opened my mind so much and my perspective on life and how I live my life. It's amazing. And you asked the question as well, I didn't touch on it before, but like, what did this open up my psychic gifts? Like, what gifts do I have? So, what came through in your program is that I'm a strong channeler. So, that's a gift. However, I think it's a byproduct. My guides have told me of like who I really am as on a soul level. It's like a byproduct of who I am. I'm just a natural channeler and I channel light language. And that came through. And for months, I was singing at first. And then I started speaking in tongue and light language and then using the hand movements. For so long, I was freaked out because I didn't know what it was. And then someone said, oh, it's light language. So, and and now since then, just this whole world of like so many other people in the world doing light language. And it's just incredible. Like just that I'm not the only one. So yeah, light language, channeling. I'm very intuitive, can read people, can read what they're not saying. That's the main, and then healing, like with energy. I'm a very powerful, well, I feel energy very powerfully come through me. So I'm like a conduit of energy. So I'm an energy healer. That's
You're an insane energy healer. Being in the room with you when you're doing your light language has totally shifted patterns for me. So I'm glad that you got this from this course. And I know it's not what you thought you would walk away with, because I know you just kind of were like, there's 3 certifications and that's what we're doing. And you left with this whole other realm.
oh yeah. I left with a business. I left with so much confidence in who I am and my mission in life. Just and yeah, just a knowing and also being able to connect in the program. I connected with other soul sisters. That was one of the magical things. It's like I don't have anyone in my life. I didn't that outside of the container that was in the spiritual realm. So just being able to connect with other people and I still connect with them was really, really magical. And it was amazing to have that support. Yeah.
I feel like really it's the group. Like I think so much of becoming psychic is it's a great journey alone. Like it's a great journey alone, right? It's cool. It will change your life. You'll become a whole different being. But doing it with a room full of women walking the same path is honestly where the magic happens, because you meet friends and you get to constantly be pushed by other people's acceptance of deeper transmissions, because like the more transmissions in a room, right, the bigger the energy. And even if that Zoom room is, we're sitting here, I'm in Thailand, you're in Sydney, Australia, like that's where the magic happens, the sisterhood. So looking back on your experience, what is the most unexpected thing you learned about your own abilities?
Talking psychic abilities, I think the most unexpected would be that I can move people. Like I can like I can move them emotionally with my energy healing. If you're someone looking on from the outside and you just see someone doing an energy healing, it doesn't look like much. You can't physically see the energy, but to the person receiving, and I think an energy healing, when we're not talking just the basic Reiki energy healing, we're talking like a light language energy healing, the frequency of the transmission is so much higher and more potent. Like, I feel it when I'm channeling the energy, but the person feels like it. They might have, movements or vibrations in their body. They might be brought to tears. They might get chills, feel hot or cold. They feel a physical response from the energy. And that's just so potent and so beautiful. And just some of the feedback I've had is just, I can't believe that I actually can do that. Because it doesn't happen to me. Like, I don't experience it myself at the same level as I don't feel it. I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't feel it. So I'm only relying on their feedback. And it's just, yes, so beautiful to get that feedback and know that I'm making a difference and moving something. I think a lot of the feedback that I've got is that I've moved things that they didn't even know was there, or brought it into their awareness in a safe space that they felt like they could go there. And that is the beautiful part about energy healing. It also kind of bring, like, people that do shadow work as well, it can bring things up to show them where they need to heal, which is also, what they need to look at and what part of their life, what they need to address, that subconsciously, if they were just going about their life, they would never have come to them, or it might have come to them a lot longer. It might have taken them a lot longer to get to that on their own.
Yeah, so you can really speed up the journey. I absolutely
Yeah.
love that. For someone who's kind of like new to the spiritual world and maybe they're hearing light language for the first time, can we kind of just like go through like what is a session, how like you hold your session, and like explain to them what it is? So I feel like everyone kind of gets it. I too love your language on light language.
Yeah. So, okay, a light language healing session. It's about an hour long. Light language is it's an ancient frequency. It's a channeled frequency, like one of the highest frequencies that humans can vibrate at. And it usually, well, it can come in song, it can come in the form of song, it can come in the form of words, it could come in the form of like gestures or movements. And that frequency, usually it's not in English or in a human known language, because it bypasses the analytical mind and gets straight to the soul level. It activates your DNA. And when you take the mind out of it, you're not analyzing, you're not trying to, if you're being told what it is in English, if like, in the healing, your mind would be trying to process it and make sense of it. It's not anything to make sense of. It's just something that you surrender to the experience and just be open to. And so it's a high frequency, high energetic work. So if I'm doing it online via Zoom, the person would just get really comfortable in their bed or lay down or sit down, whatever's works for them, close their eyes, and then I go through, all the things that could come up possibly, or get up during it, because it is a lot of energy. So you could potentially, fall over or something because you don't realize that you didn't think it's anything, but there is a lot of energy. And then, yeah, you just lay for the rest of the session, and then I do my magic. I do my work. I check in, and then at the end we have a debrief. And this is where I really like this, because things that come up for me, I share visuals or images or words that come through, colors. And then I have my clients share, and it's a really nice way it's really interesting how sometimes we also, the same thing comes up, like the same visualization or, the same, image. So that's pretty much the process. And then in person, it's pretty much the same. It's just not online. And I've also
I love how, oh, so sorry, you
also
go.
done online group healings as well, which is the same. It's just with more people.
I love how you got to channel this whole thing through the course. Like, really, I think, like, listening to this, it's like, I really don't know if everyone's got the fact that before, when I first met you, there was not an idea of being psychic, right? Like, you're literally telling us your channel transmissions that you have left with and how you run your offering based on how spirit led you there. Like, that is a really amazing process of just being like, you actually, like, yes, light language is a modality and a channel modality, but you actually went and you walked away with your own form of practice of light language. And that is just something that most people don't do in their lifetime. And I just really want to take a second and just like see you in that, because that is a fucking cool story. And ultimately, the amount of work I know you put in the program to sit the down and just be with spirit and be open to spirit and get to know your spirit team was ultimately a lot of work, right? Like, it wasn't just you came in and it happened, even though you did come in and it did happen, right? But the commitment you have that I really want to applaud. It's just ultimately something that has been the byproduct of this story.
Yeah, it took a lot of inner work and it took a lot of getting out of my own way and getting out of my own head, surrendering and trusting to let that come through, to let my natural gifts come through. And as I said, right, I have an analytical, scientific mind. So to just trust in the unknowing was huge for me. And then I guess the feedback that I've gotten from my clients is the evidence for my analytical mind that needed that it is something that is real, it's tangible.
Yeah, I'm so excited to only imagine where this is going to take you. So now that this course is over, now that you kind of got your modality and you're like, you're seeing your purpose and this bigger mission and you're stepping into your light worker, what kind of specific rituals or practices and how you're keeping your gifts connected now that we're no longer working together?
Yeah, it's a great question. I have a morning practice. I meditate every day. That's so important. I connect to my guides every day. I also use a pendulum, which I've just started recently using. So if I don't feel that anything's coming through, I just ask a yes no question for guidance. Test it a few times with some false questions and just to that for that reassurance. But I know I really don't need a pendulum. Everything is within me, but it's just another tool, just like tarot or oracle cards. Yeah. And also exercise, moving my body and moving it intuitively. So not just going, oh, I need to go to the gym or I need to do a run. It's like, do I need to do yoga today? Or do I need to just put on some music and dance? What does my body need? So staying really connected with my body, that has helped me stay in my practices and stay connected to who I am in my truth, in my mission, and in continually investing in myself. I think this is the most important thing I saw going into your program. I didn't see it at the time, but it was an investment in myself. And now I know the importance of continually investing in myself, like up leveling, not meaning upskilling because I have everything, but what's in the way of where I want to be because I have a huge mission, and what coach or mentor can then help me with that specific skill, like if it's around business. Okay, I'm going to go work with a coach now, or Instagram or something like that that I don't know anything about, but I don't have 5,000 hours to like learn it. I'm just going to go and like, so investing in myself because you're worth it, because I'm worth it. So yeah, that was one of the things I wanted to say about doing your program is think of it as an investment in yourself because you're worth it.
Mm.
You don't think it right now. You are.
Amen. So with that, I would like to ask you, we've got 2 more questions.
Oh.
My last one would be, before, how does everyone work with you? Because I can imagine there'll be so many people wanting to jump into your world. If you could give one piece of heartfelt advice to another woman who was in your shoes, standing at the edge, wondering if they should take a leap, and their spirit team is coming through in all odd, weird ways, and they're probably feeling fear, or there's something pushing them, because when you started there was that push, and I had the push too. Like, I had a car accident, and that was like a really freaky way to begin awakening. Like, awakening isn't nice, like it's a jolt. We break through a ceiling. What would your biggest piece of advice to them be?
Lean into the fear, because it's there for a reason. It's there to push you to your highest timeline, to your highest self. And the fear is where the growth is. So whether it's a fear of the time, I pushed through that as well, being a mom and working full time and not thinking I had enough time, the time or the money, or the fear of this might be really weird. If you sit with yourself and ask yourself, is this really for me? Whatever that first instant, it'll be a yes, no answer. Is this in my highest good? Your mind, your higher self will say yes or no. And it's that first initial response. It's always right. Trust it. Trust yourself.
That's so much. So with that, how do people get in contact with you? How do they work with you? And ultimately, how do they get in your high frequency?
Great question. Well, they can come hang out with me. Follow me on Instagram. It's just at my name, at Kyli, Kyli, MCCORRY, MCCORRY. Come follow me on Instagram. I'm also building my YouTube channel, so I'll have more videos there. So yeah, you can contact me through Instagram, send me a DM if you want to connect. That's how you would reach out to me at the moment. And more to come very soon. I have just had a download this week that I am going to be creating a container in the next, by the end of this year, a group coaching container.
Got it, girl. I love this download. I cannot wait to watch this download come into fruition. Like, how fucking cool is it that we're 2 women sitting across the world? I lived 3 hours from your doorstep. We connected by random chance, and here we are, both channeling transmission containers for the world. Like, how insane is that?
It's pretty crazy when you put it like that. But you know what? When you step into who you really are and your soul purpose and your mission, you just go and do the things that you know you need to do. You get really, really clear on what needs to be out there in the world, because you're not here for yourself. You're here to serve others. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to serve others and make the world a better place, because there's enough suffering. It's time to end it.
Thank you so much for being on this podcast. I know that your transmission is so needed, and I honestly am so excited to hear all about your program coming up. And if all of you guys who are listening want to listen, you want to head to the show notes, go follow Kyli on Instagram. You want to stay up to date with her, because the magic that's coming, if you love light language, she is insanely incredible at it and has been such a teacher for my own light language. So get in the room with her. And until next week, guys, stay intuitive, stay inspired, and ultimately listen to yourself. You've got this. Have the best week. Hey, gorgeous soul. I just wanted to take a moment and say a heartfelt thank you for tuning into this podcast. Your energy and your presence, it means the world to me. If you've been enjoying these podcasts, I have a small favor to ask, and it only takes a few minutes, but it makes a huge difference. If you would leave a review or share your thoughts, it would help us find our tribe and continue spreading this beautiful, empowering work. Your feedback helps more like-minded souls discover our community, and it inspires me to keep creating content that resonates deeply with you. So if you're feeling the love, please hit that review button. Let's grow this community together, continue to uplift, inspire, and transform. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being part of this journey with me. I can't wait to connect with you again in the next episode. But until then, I want to remind you there is a community here. If you jump to my website, join our community, come to the free monthly activations or masterclasses, and don't forget, in the community hub, there is a question and answers channel. And if you've ever wanted a podcast on a specific thing or you've wanted to drop a question, go drop it in there. I want to make this podcast specifically for you. I want you to learn what you want to know, and I want you to become the best psychic you can be. And I'm just along for the journey. So go drop your questions, and I'm going to see you next week.